Hello and welcome to this panel discussion today. I am Rishi Basu from Infosys, and today we are going to discuss a very important, often discussed topic across forums about the pandemic. And today we are going to have our panelists talk to you about how they have emerged out of the difficult 18 months that we've seen of the pandemic, created opportunities, if I may cautiously say so, and how they have reset, realigned, and refocused their priorities. So, joining me today are four very unique leaders of the PR industry in India, and I would request them to come on screen to quickly introduce themselves and we can get on with this panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming Sarvesh Tiwari, Tejal Daftary, Geetika Gulati, and Anand Mahesh.
Hi Rishi, my name is Sarvesh Tiwari. I am managing director of and founder of a PR company called PR Professionals, and we are expanding and we are one of the fastest growing agency in the country. We have, even in the tough time, we have grown, and we have extended our arms in some other countries also. And the best part of us is we believe in giving back to society, and being even a small firm of 80 odd people, we believe in our philanthropic initiatives, and we are doing a lot for the society, and we firmly believe in giving back. So I believe that that is something which pandemic has also taught us, and we have been following it for the last 10 years. We recently celebrated our 10th anniversary on 5th of September. So I thank, through your channel, I want to thank, especially through Founder India, I want to thank everybody and who have supported us, especially our clients and the people all around. And I definitely expect best wishes from all of you.
Hi everyone, thank you Rishi for the introductions. Very excited to be on the panel. I am Tejal Daftary, founder of Alphabet Media. We're a boutique PR agency which cater into consumer PR. So our our expertise predominantly lie into startup PR, lifestyle PR, and entertainment PR. A lot into lifestyle because it's a sector which I'm very personally associated with. I love beauty, I love wellness, I love everything that's more conscious, and that's exactly what I love to do with brands, and that's exactly what we as a team do, for brands. And most of the entire activity and a strategic communications is completely integrated because that is clearly the need of the hour. So our services are divided into public relations, marketing communications, and digital communications. And it's just very exciting because every day is different, and we just keep exploring, experimenting, and just going all out, and just giving our best shot to the brands. So that's what we do.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Rishi. And so my name is Geetika, and I founded this boutique PR firm called Zivcomms in 2018. Currently based in Delhi, but yes, slowly spreading our wings in Bombay because that's the place I really want to be in. As Tejal also said, my heart is also with lifestyle PR. I personally started with, PR for films and promotions for music industry, and that's when I got a taste of it and really started, getting deeper into it. And since then, I've only done communications and nothing else. It's a very small firm, 3 years old, as I said. Currently, we're also specializing in startup PR and not saying no to anything. And I think right now is not the time for me to diversify or, pick up one such vertical. So yes, we sort of across verticals. Yes, I look forward to, like a greater journey for Zivcomms. Thanks.
Hi Rishi, thank you for the introduction and a very warm welcome to all the other panelists. So great to be with such a diverse panel. My name is Anand Mahesh. I co-founded Mavcomm Consulting in 2006. So we are just completed about 15 years. We are also a boutique firm. And we specialize more towards automotive clients as well as more B2B businesses. So that's been our core. And since the time that we have started, we have also kind of branched out into other communication fields which are correlated. So we do digital communications, we do internal communications, and we also have a public affairs division. So this is broadly what we're working on, and we actually enjoy quite a long working relationship with most of our clients. So that's one of our USPs. So a lot of our clients are stuck with us for more than 5 years, 10 years. So that's something. And even in the times of pandemic, they have stuck with us. So I would say there has been no reset in that sense, but this is a very interesting topic and I'm looking forward to discuss it with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all our panelists, a diverse set of leaders, like I said, with a variety of experiences, a variety of verticals that they are servicing, and best place to have analyzed the impact of this pandemic of the last 18 months on the industry that we are all part of. So I want to start by asking each of you, Sarvesh, Geetika, Tejal, Anand, why don't we spend a minute, each of us, and tell our audience what has changed for you? Sarvesh, why don't you start?
For us, nothing has changed. For me, yes, there were some changes. I contested the election during pandemic in Bihar, so there was something very different and a very different experience. But yes, as far as clients are concerned, we didn't lose any client. I firmly believe in relationships. So once you maintain the relationship with your client, you have faith in them, and they have faith in you, nothing changes. Yes, the financial dynamics had to be readjusted and realigned. There were certain relationship which needed to be reimagined, in fact, and that all things were done. But we survived. We did better, and we definitely got new clients during pandemic. I don't want to use the word opportunity in pandemic. I hate that, and but I firmly believe that if you are strong enough, if you perform, if you believe in yourself, and you maintain your relationship with your client, no dark and gloomy days will ever come.
Hi. Okay. I just feel the pandemic has given. We've seen a lot of homegrown labels, sort of introduced during the pandemic, and we ourselves have been managing, I think, almost 7 to 8 brands that have been launched last year. So from the public relation, I mean, last year when we were reading so much about how communications has been affected in pandemic, unfortunately most of the sectors within communications were affected, but PR fairly was less affected compared to events, advertising, and other sectors. So PR in a way was in a much better space. The plus thing what has helped us is a lot of homegrown labels have been introduced, so that's given an opportunity to the boutique agencies to sort of service a lot more of these homegrown labels. That's point number one. And point number two, I think humanizing content has always taken the center stage, but emoting content and humanizing content, and literally understanding and appreciating the content and putting empathy into it, that restructuring has happened a lot in the last year, and that has built closer relations with the consumer. So these two are the clear winners from the industry perspective.
So for Zivcomms, I would say, I used to keep using this term that we are taking baby steps, and this was in 2019 when we were happily sailing with our 7-8 clients, and I would still say baby steps. And then in 2020, this happened. So yes, there was some time where I didn't know what has happened, and we were out of work for about 6 to 7 months, and I don't want to conceal that at all. But that period did give me some time to relook at, because that wasn't happening in 2019 or my first year, where I would, we were doing client servicing and going on with our events and pitching stories and successfully, we're going on with our work. But I did need that time to sort of pause and relook at what is my language, what is the communication for Zivcom. So I did take that 6-7 month period to sort of look at Zivcomms and sharpening our marketing tools and networking better. And the second point, what changed for me, I went ahead and did, like, I went for hiring in that period, which I didn't think was that time a good idea, but yes, it did help me, because it becomes like a circle, right? You present yourself as a team, and then you get the ball rolling, and you have to come across as a strong team. So the second point that changed for us, that we also offered help, and I did not keep, and in fact we should say I kept a very flexible slab for how we would look at our scope or man hours and our quotes and commercials that would go out to newer clients. And we were very flexible. That was my own thing. I wanted it to be like that. So suiting or working in their budget or whatever was suiting their pockets, we sort of very well accepted that, and didn't say no to any business. So yeah, these two things were new for me also, as much as whatever I've seen in my career in the past.
So I think what has changed for me, I would say there are four elements. Three are professional and one in personal life space. Point number one, I think a lot of business offerings have changed for us in a very dynamic manner. So while we used to offer different verticals, I think they all got combined together, and there was much more demand and acceptance of external communications balanced with internet and digital communications. So that's point number one. Point number two, what we could also do very successfully was to restructure our teams and align them to get into a more lean kind of a structure. I don't mean that we have asked people to leave, but within the resources, how can we handle things in a much more leaner manner? So that's point number two. Point number three that we faced was adaptability to remote working. I think that's true for all of us. But while work from home was frowned upon earlier, and even when I used to be working at an organization, and if I used to tell my boss that I would work from home, I think it was never taken very in a very positive manner. But I think now it's kind of become a norm for us. And personally, for me, what has changed is that because of remote working and there not being a need of traveling every day, I've been able to move away from a city life and kind of staying between cities and much more better place. So I think that in a nutshell is what has changed for me.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a lot of perspective coming in from each of you, a variety of inputs and perspectives from each of your verticals. And of course, client feedback, I'm sure. And at some level, it's pretty apparent that each of us have sort of reset, refocused, or realigned in our own ways. From Sarvesh saying nothing has changed to Geetika being very candid about very, very difficult months in her firm. So I want to quickly circle back to you, Geetika, on that very point and ask you a question which I think not just the PR industry has been grappling with, but industry at large. And I want to understand your experience on employee morale, employee retention in those very difficult months. What were the important issues that came to you about employees, their wellness, mental health, retaining employees, and perhaps even clients reaching out to PR firms to help them strategize employee engagement? So what was your experience?
Sure. Thanks, Rishi. So I would talk about, we were a very lean team. I mean, as lean as we were just two people. And because before that, Zivcomms would work on a partner relation. Like I had my partners and we would work on projects together. But when in the first lockdown, of course, there were no, I mean, I did not, there were no layoffs and nothing like that. But few steps that I took at that time, because I realized that before things slip out of hand and things get worse for Zivcomms, I knew that there has to be some system, even though it's a lean team. So setting our morning calls and making sure that no day should go that we take that casually, lightly. We don't skip that. We do discuss work, and even if there's no work, we discuss what are we doing today on Zivcomms LinkedIn page, what are we doing today on Zivcomms website. We sort of restructured our website. On the other front, I felt that we all came a lot closer. Of course, we know how e-commerce industry was flourishing. So sending gifts and cakes on their birthdays, and if there's some family exigency, so understanding that a 15-day period would be something that they'll all need. So not, just leaving them for those many days. So there were some things which, again, like a lot of flexibility had to come in play. And I feel we just got a lot more closer with our team. Like, I didn't expect them to send so much, like arrange for like a mini party for Zivcomms 2 years anniversary, but they all did, and that too remotely. So I felt like, internally the team came a lot closer and was sort of very, very supportive. And they had that emotion that, okay, right now we have to sort of stand very, like by each other's side.
Absolutely. I think that is also sort of a model which most organizations are leaning towards, because right now I think everybody's realizing that the employee is your biggest strength and asset, and it is very important to ensure the wellness and both mentally and physically, the wellness of the employees of paramount importance, because the normal as we knew has of course changed, and we are evolving into a model which is still relatively unknown, I feel. And Anand, let me ask you this question. What do you feel should be the new normal? Rather, what is the new normal? A lot of organizations are talking about hybrid models of work. So what, in your opinion, is the new normal, and where do you think we're headed?
I think, and I'll actually pick up from a phrase of one of my friends that, he says that it's not the new normal, it's the new strange. And I would kind of tweak it and say that we should actually be thinking about the next strange, because I think the normal right now is to expect the unexpected and expect the strange. Uh, and what I've tried to do is there's a McKinsey model which talks about three horizons, and looking at the immediate term, the mid-term, and the long term. I think as a PR firm right now, it's time for us to actually look at all the three horizons at the same time. Look at what is our current strength, maximize on it. Look at what can we do additionally in terms of extending our reach, and go there. And third, anticipate changes and then try and build it already into the business system. So I think this is what we are trying to work on currently, and we should be as ambidextrous as possible. I think that's how I look at it.
The new strange, that is actually a very, very interesting term that has been coined, and I'm hearing it for the first time, but perhaps I'm going to use it in future. It's quite interesting. But that also brings me to an earlier point about relationships with clients, Tejal. That is what you were talking about, and let's deep dive a little more in understanding how have your relationships with your clients, how has that evolved in this period? Because of course there is a vast ocean of uncertainty in the industry today, and I think the resonating word is assurance. Everybody is looking for some sort of assurance. So between a PR firm and the client, how do you think the relationships has evolved in this period? What is your experience?
I just feel in this whole pandemic, I think, like I was mentioning earlier, any form of relations, empathy, humanity, I think that's really taken the center stage, be it with the clients, be it with the team, be it with the sector, be it with the media. I think the value of understanding, that all has taken the center stage. And the same thing goes with the clients. Clients have understood, they have sort of empathized. There have been cases where clients have come around and said that we are in this together. Of course there have been clients that, I mean, we've all faced, we were in X and we've become X minus, but the clients that have stayed with us have stayed with us. There has been a lot of flexibility at a point when comms, like the whole external communications was important. We sort of re-looked into the scope of work and brought the internal communications into picture, because we realized internal comms was, there was a lot more importance or concentration to be given to internal comms. So that sort of took that kind of scope of work flexibility and change happened in that case. Alternatively, when it comes to other sectors, more content driven strategy, I just feel more flexibility in terms of our scope of work has happened in the last 1 year. Secondly, I think clients have gotten closer because there was more close knitted, more leadership being more involved in, like, campaign outreach, etc. has happened. So it's I just feel it's become stronger, it's become more crisper, and it's become more value driven. So those are the three things I think that has helped, and it's definitely become more deeper, when it comes to fostering client relations.
No, I agree 100% because we are in the business of communication, and this is a
Yeah.
time where, of course, you're not being able to meet one another physically, and everybody is working at a distance. So communication is very critical. Effective communication is the order of the day, and that brings me to one more important aspect, actually, and I'm going to ask Sarvesh this question, because you also did something very different in this pandemic year when you said you were contesting for the elections and being a communications professional. Of course, that brings in a lot of variety, and from both sides, because it's so important, I want to understand, what do you feel about the increase of the technology play in the whole communications ambit? I mean, today we are doing this panel discussion virtually. In a normal year, we probably meet physically and do it. Meetings are being held virtually, deals are being signed virtually, and you've done an entire campaign probably virtually. So tell me, what is your opinion of the increase in tech play in a pandemic year? Is it bringing in a lot of fatigue? People are looking forward. Is there adoption of technology? What do you feel?
Yeah, fatigue is definitely a very important angle to it. But I thank people who brought this mobile phone and they gave us in our hand, because we were prepared for this. Had we not understood how to use it, how our learning this entire period would have been very problematic. So I thank to the inventors who gave this machine in our hand, in our pockets. So yes, tech plays a very important, and it's still playing a very important role in especially in our communication industry. We Our entire business is through technology, and definitely going forward, I firmly believe that human angle cannot be replaced anytime by technology. But definitely tech has added value to it. Tech has uh, made it very easy to reach out to people all across the globe sitting at one place. I was sitting in my village and I was talking to guys in Bahrain. I was talking to people in Canada, where we have our small operations, and we were managing and helping each other out. So the best thing was, we were adding emotional value to each other through technology. We were taking care of each other's emotions through tech. So yes, tech has added in all ways, especially during this time.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. But also, there's another school of thought which suggests that work hours have increased exponentially. Earlier, there was a clear divide when you could probably wrap up work at a physical location and travel back home and maybe clear a few emails, attend a few calls, but you could call it a day. But increasingly, people are seeing that line has blurred a great deal, and there is a lot of fatigue, which is the counter narrative to this, and that brings me back to Anand. What do you think about this whole phrase about work-life balance versus work-life integration? What is here to stay, and what do you think is the difference between the two?
I think I view it as work-life balance being achieved through integration, and I kind of disagree to the point that work hours have increased. I think they've become more flexible, and that's why probably we feel that it has increased. And the way that I I think since the time that overall smartphones availability and affordability has increased, I think people had been carrying work home on the way, while they're traveling to office and while they're traveling back from office. Work has always been on, everyone's plate. But I think now what has happened is the flexibility has increased. So if I want to complete something, I can do it at 7 in the morning or I can do it at 11 in the morning. It's up to me. And I think that's where integration and balance come together. I mean, and I personally don't feel that there is a work-life balance concept, but integration and achieving balance through it, I think, will be a better approach. And that's what I've been trying to follow personally for myself, where I get to take time out. Even if there's too much work, I can do it at my own pace. As long as it's getting delivered, I don't think anybody is really worried about the timelines per se.
I think that is greatly. I think that is a very positive message, Anand, and very very optimistic of you to think that way. And I'm going to come to my sort of final question on this matter, and I'm going to sort of quote Sarvesh again, and I'm going to start with Sarvesh, being very cautiously optimistic again. I want to understand from each of you, from Sarvesh, Tejal, Geetika, Anand, you also, in this pandemic year, to sort of wrap up this session, how did each of you turn a challenge into an opportunity, and in a very positive way? What are some of the challenges that you would have faced in this year at a personal level, within your organizations, at a professional level, and how did you turn that challenge into an opportunity? And Sarvesh, I'm going to start with you to answer that question.
I'll tell you the biggest challenge which was converted into opportunity was my contesting election. I was sitting at my hometown. I have been working for the society for the last almost 12 odd years. And I don't know, you know or not, but I have been behind the Nirbhaya campaign. I'm general secretary of that trust. I've adopted families of Uri war martyrs. I've also adopted kids who lost their parents, 135 kids who have lost their parents. So I have been doing my bit in my village also. And when I was there in my village for a longer period of time, people started coming to me. And I also thought that instead of sitting idle, let me get engaged with the people and know them better. Pandemic was definitely a crisis, but I feel that the learning which I got after contesting election, I understood rural India far better than whenever I used to go meet people. Since almost 11 years, every month I spent 7 days in my village, but still I didn't know anything. So I this gave me opportunity. So on personal front, this was a big opportunity which I got. But yes, on business front, if you talk, there are different businesses which operates at different which have different models. So if you speak about startups which are mostly tech based, this was the right time for them, and that converted into opportunity for us. So we got few startups, especially who were working in IT sectors and all. And as Mahesh rightly said, that we all are working from home, and people are still working from home. So they developed few applications which added to all office working. In fact, the best part was that I became partner to few of those applications. That was again an opportunity, because there were youngsters who were coming with new inventions, and they were looking for people who can support them financially, who can partner them, and who can even promote them. And we got stake in few companies. That was a very big opportunity for us.
Hi. Okay, so for me, I think the best opportunity is because I'm a mother to a 3-year-old. My mother last year used to keep saying that, how are we going to manage, because it's office and there is school drop in, drop off, and barely getting time for your toddler. I think the pandemic just answered the question. So she keeps saying that, you God's like really heard you, because it just gave me so much time to see her grow physically and while working. So I think the blend of both growing, just seeing right in front of your eye was like, I think exceptional. That's the biggest boon I guess I can ask during pandemic. And professionally, I guess, like I said, the biggest opportunity for us is because we're a boutique agency. It just gave us an avenue to explore a lot more and very interesting PR with homegrown brands. And there are great brands that are born last year, and like brands in beauty, wellness, etc. Sustainable, like conscious living is one thing. Like I said, I really want to sort of do something, and there are great brands that have emerged out of the pandemic. So that in itself is a great opportunity from professional perspective.
So I feel this was a mix of what I'm going to tell you now was mix of professional opportunity plus a personal thing that changed in the last 2 years for me, to something called a side hustle. I always wanted something which is product driven and not service driven, but I found myself in PR and I was always a consultant and I wasn't able to sort of, not that I want to get out of it, but I wanted a product related thing to do, myself to do with. So I started a homegrown, homemade, mom made food product business, and that is what my friends are calling these days the side hustling. So I'm putting my energy into that as well, and it feels good to be having your two babies grow in front of you. So yeah, my energies are invested in both right now.
So the way I look at it, I think the first step that we had to really take was to do a bit of soul searching and see that how can we stay relevant and actually be more relevant to our current clients as well as probably a few new clients and some of the ex clients also. And that's what we did in the initial phase. I think we went back to the drawing board and thought about how can we do better in this situation and how can we be more relevant. What we tried to do was, and we actually partnered with a couple of firms or various friends into consumer research, into lead generation, and we went back to some of our existing clients, even a few of our past clients, saying that I think this is what will help you in your current business situation, and probably you should talk to us and see if this combined offering can make sense to you. And that approach helped us, where a lot of people came back, spoke to us. Not all of them converted, but I think we had 3 to 4 business wins which came out of that approach. And I would say that's something which a challenge was turned into opportunity, but more because of soul searching and being and trying to stay relevant rather than grabbing new business. So that was my experience.
Absolutely. And each of us, what I can derive from this conversation, have swum against the tide, looked for opportunities amidst challenges, propelled ourselves to go above and beyond, and just keep calm and carry on, if I may borrow that phrase. Um, we have some questions from the audience, of course, and I'm going to ask you those questions on behalf of our audience who sent it to us. And the first question, Sarvesh, is for you from Saurav Kanungo. He's asking you, was there a difficult situation that a client faced with regard to misinformation during COVID? And how did you deal with it? It's very, very interesting.
बहुत सारी नहीं थी, there were very limited. So there is a client, there's a hospital which is our client, and there were a lot of misconception that only COVID patients are there, so other patients stopped going there, and we had to go full throttle in digital to explain it that there is a segregated building where COVID patients are there, and so that the walking starts. And finally it started, but it took some time. That was one of the challenge which we faced.
Great. The next question, Geetika, is for you from Prerna Porwal. And Prerna wants to know, how has the PR consulting business been impacted by the pandemic? Of course, this is something I'm sure we've covered across this discussion, but if there's anything specific you'd like to address to Prerna.
Yeah, so Prerna, in a nutshell, I would just say that yes, in the first wave, while everybody was trying to understand what has happened, PR did take a backseat, or I would say for a lot many industries, no other function was moving. So yeah, there was a bit of a lull. But in the second wave, it different forms of content writing and digital, of course, digital like shot up like anything. So yeah, communications took different mediums, and things sort of worked out, and things are back on track, looking back up. So yeah, that was pretty much in a nutshell.
Thanks, Geetika. The next question is for Anand from Niharika Daura. I hope I got the last name correct. If I haven't, please pardon me. Anand, the question for you is, did the clients have retainer budget cuts? And if yes, how did you deal with this?
Thanks, Rishi. So, hi, Niharika. Yes, so only one of our clients, actually, during the entire pandemic, came to us and asked us for reducing the retainer fee. And we could understand their concern because they were an automotive brand. They were a very niche motorcycle brand. And the business was badly impacted. As you understand, the automotive industry was badly impacted, especially in the beginning when all the dealerships are closed. So we agreed to the deduction because we had a very strong relationship with them for the last 8 to 10 years, and we thought we should support them. Uh, the revenue loss was not very high, to be very honest. So it was almost just about 10% of the budget was reduced from the previous levels. We could manage it because of the kind of savings that we had because of working from home and some of the savings that we were getting. So we didn't really have an impact as such. Also, what has happened is that when the client came up for renewal after the financial year got over, then the fee was ramped back to the previous level. So it's not been a bad experience for us. We were pretty happy to manage in that manner.
So sort of bridging the gap in between. And the last question for the panel today is, Tejal, this is for you from Neha Goyal. And Neha asks, do you think that due to the heavy economic impact of COVID, there will be a crisis in the PR consulting business in the years to come?
Hey Neha, absolutely not. Please be rest assured. There are great brands emerging. Brands will continue to emerge. PR is only getting more important. PR has taken a center stage. PR is part of like key discussions, key campaigns. So definitely not. In fact, I see a great future for PR moving ahead because crisis communications, internal communications, integrated communications, campaigns, all these are words that are like part of major discussions in the communications and the leadership team. So PR definitely will not get affected in the years to come. It's just going to get better.
Thank you, Tejal. That was a very positive message. And with that, we come to the close of this wonderful, wonderful panel discussion. And personally, I am so honored to have this opportunity of this conversation with each of you leaders of this PR industry. And I think I take back words which will resonate with me for the days to come. Words like opportunity, words like assurance, words like optimism. And that is all that resonated across this panel today. And Sarvesh, Tejal, Geetika, Anand, very, very thankful for your time and look forward to meeting you again in the near future. And we wish you the very, very best for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rishi.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Rishi.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you to all the panelists. Great being with you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.